Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We will call to order this meeting of the Illinois Board of Review for today, September 14th, 2023. Before we get started, there's several preliminary matters I'd like to review with you. Most of you have been muted, principally because we need to make certain that we can all hear and we aren't bothered by distractions that come from background noise. Secondly, this hearing is being recorded both by Zoom as well as our court reporter, so just be aware of that. And also individuals who are appellants for today, we just want to remind you this is a formal hearing, which means that you have to be prepared to participate. The time of your individual case may be at the end, it may not, but it requires you to unfortunately sit through the whole thing. Secondly, we expect that you will be properly dressed, that you will be sitting up and paying attention, that you are not in bed or lounging in a lounge chair in some other informal fashion. This is a formal hearing, so we expect everyone to respect the decorum. And we will also hear from the law department before we hear cases of any matters that have been resolved or the continuance requests or otherwise, so that we can winnow the list down a bit. If your case is called and the terminology is used that it is moot or moot complied, if you need an explanation for those terms, please call the number on your communications with Illinois and speak with someone in the administrator's office. Those individuals will explain it to you and help you understand what that means. But for today, your matter is no longer a problem. It has been resolved, but they will provide the details. So you don't have to break in or ask questions as you're trying to hear everyone else's case. And you may, you're excused to leave the hearing if your case is identified as moot or moot compliant. I believe that's all the preliminary matters. The board itself, as well as the other panelists, will introduce themselves to you, after which I'll hear from the law department. Kenneth Woodson, board chair.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, senior board member.
Beverly Penn, board member.
Ken Washington, board member.
Matt McNary, board counsel.
Mr. Wade, you're muted.
Richard Wade, board administrator.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll hear now from the law department.
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the law department. I do have a number of matters that I'll run through now, beginning with number 1, HA 2023-002581 at 5017 North Broad Street. The appellant is SRI Petroleum Corporation. The department did submit a continuance request due to witness unavailability for this matter today.
Okay, is anyone here representing SRI? Anyone present representing SRI?
I am Chair. Alex Palmer for SRI.
All right, thank you. The city's submitted a continuance request. Do you have a response to that?
I sent an email to the board. I had no objection to the city's request for a continuance.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I hate cutting in, but I think that would be the lawyer for case number 21, Mr. Palmer.
Yes.
I think we were reading off case number 1 right now.
Yes, number 1 as well as number 21 are represented by the same firm. And so I believe, Ms. Skiles, that would be likely a similar request for number 21?
The same request, yes, if you would like me to read that into the record now.
Yes, before you do that, I'll just note for the record that case number 1 is noted as continued.
And so then additionally, case number 21, HA 2023-02969 at 5017 to 5025 North Broad Street. The appellant is SRI Petroleum Corporation. The department also requested a continuance on that matter today due to witness unavailability.
Okay, noted as continued. Oh, Mr. Palmer, would you mind correcting the record in case 1 and adding your name as legal counsel? We currently have Leah Donis.
Yeah. Yes. So I have I'm now representing SRI Petroleum on both matters, both in case number 1 and case number 21.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, what next, Ms. Skiles?
Yes, moving on to number 2 on the list, HA 2022-004452 at 2200 Farley Street. The appellant is Jeremy Clark. The appellant made a request for a continuance on this matter, and the city does not object.
Okay, do we have legal counsel present for Mr. Clark? Okay,
believe-
noted.
I believe the request was made because council had a conflict for this
Okay.
time today, so I don't know if council would be present.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
in our executive meeting, we spoke about this one must be heard.
Yes, yep, that will be noted. Ms. Skiles, given the nature of multiple requests, we'll continue. Next hearing is must be heard requirement.
Okay.
So please communicate that. So we'll continue for today, but must be heard as a requirement going forward.
Yes, that's noted.
Thank you.
So then moving on to matter number 13 on the list, HA 2023-002248 at 4101 Market Street. The appellant is Dale Corporation. An agreement, a resolution was reached on this matter and forwarded to the board. The agreement is for a city affirm for the violations and a fine of $2,000.
$2,000 fine. Okay, thank you very much. Before we call the vote on this matter, Mr. Pincus, anything you want to share with us?
Yes, I'm going to recuse myself from the vote only because sometime in the past, I represented Dale Corporation. I don't believe it had any connection to this property or this address, but they are a former client of mine.
Okay, thank you. Noted for the record, Board Member Pincus will be recusing himself from the vote. We will call the vote on HA-2023-002248, 4101 Market Street, Dale Corporation, city affirm per agreement with a $2,000 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $2,000 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $2,000 fine.
City affirm per agreement with $2,000 fine.
City affirm per agreement with a $2,000 fine.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Skiles?
Yes. So then moving on to matter 14, HA 2022-004083 at 650 Fairmount Avenue. The appellant is Pelco Builders, Inc. I am working with counsel for Pelco Builders on this matter. We are working towards a resolution of this, and we would jointly request a continuance today to continue to work towards that resolution.
Okay, is the counsel for Pelco Builders present? Mr. Alexander Barth? Okay. Someone is attempting to speak. I believe it says Alex Barth, but you're garbled and we can't understand you. So I do this, sir. If in fact you are the legal counsel in this matter, just give us a thumbs up. And if you concur with Ms. Skiles' representation. Okay, thank you. He's indicated with a thumbs up, which I would take as affirmation that he concurs with your representation, and we will continue this matter. Noted as a joint request.
And it would be the same request. Number 22 is also appellant Pelco Builders, if you would like me to
Yes.
read that into the record at this time.
Please, please.
So it would be number 22 on the list, HA 2022-004799 at 824 North 2nd Street. The appellant is Pelco Builders. We would make the same joint request for a continuance as we work towards a resolution on this matter.
Okay, thank you very much. We will note it as a joint request for continuance.
That brings me to number 15, HA 2023-002203 at 2423 North 7th Street, JPL Construction, Inc. After corresponding with a representative of the appellant, I believe a continuance is necessary today as they have been unable to retain counsel for today's hearing.
Okay, is anyone present from JPL?
Yes. Yes.
Who's speaking?
My name is Gilbert Pereira.
Okay, you need to slow down a bit and say and spell your last name.
Pereira.
And your relationship to this matter?
Owner of the company.
Owner of JPL Construction?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. We will continue this matter, sir, but you will need legal counsel, as you know, to represent you for this.
All right.
Okay, we'll notice continue. Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure what background noise that is, so I speculate, but I won't. Okay, Ms. Skiles.
All right. Moving on to number 16, HA 2022-004053, 3267 to 81 Almond Street. The appellant is David Lee Biddle. This is the same issue. Counsel is needed for today, so we would have no objection to a continuance.
Okay, is David Lee Biddle or a representative present? Okay, all right, we will continue it for, as noted by the city, so that the appellate will retain legal counsel. Thank you.
Moving on to number 17, HA 2023-002069 at 514 Parker Avenue. The appellant is AGS Property Services, LLC. The appellant and the city jointly request a continuance. We are working towards a resolution in this matter, and we would just request more time to do so.
Okay, Mr. Miller, is Mr. Miller present? He's noted as legal counsel.
I'm legal counsel, Mr. Chairman, and I will be entering my appearance, and I concur with Ms. Skiles' request.
Okay, please put your name on the record, please.
Yes, Louis Lipsky, Lipsky, from the firm of Lipsky and Brandt.
All right, thank you very much. So we will note it as a joint request for continuance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then moving on to number 18 on the list, HA 2023-002262 at 2615 Latona Street. The appellant is Hong Yang Lee. And a counsel would be required for this matter as well. So I believe it will need to be continued today so that the appellant may retain counsel.
Okay, anyone here representing Mr. Hong Yang Lee? That person present? Okay, we will continue this matter so the legal counsel can be obtained.
Ms. Skiles, in this case and the other case that you mentioned where counsel is needed, have you had communication with the party so they are aware of this?
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
we have. And
Okay.
then number 20 on the list, HA 2021-004176 at 6751 North 13th Street. The appellant is Yisroel Silverstone. An agreement has been reached on this matter for a city affirm with a fine of $1,500.
Okay, city affirmed, $1,500. Okay, all right, thank you very much. We will pull the board on HA 2021-004176, 6751 North 13th Street. Mr. Yisroel Silverstone. City affirmed per agreement with $1,500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with a $1,500 fine payable.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $1,500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $1,500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with $1,500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $1,500 fine.
Thank you very much. Okay, anything else, Ms. Skiles?
Nothing further from me for today's list.
Okay, the board does have a few inquiries to make before we get started. I noted that there was a request, I believe, for number 4. Joe Keenan is HA 2023-002230. Who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, Chairman Woodson, Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city.
Yes. Is there a request for continuance in this matter?
There is, Chairman Woodson, due to witness unavailability.
Okay. Is anyone present representing the Mr. Joe Keenan or that address? Joe Keenan or a representative of 2015-35 South Hutchinson Street. Okay, we will then, based on this request, note it as continued. Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, I apologize, Chairman
Do
Woodson.
do you have another matter?
I have other matters that I can read onto the record that have been resolved, or if you'd like me to wait.
Just wait for a moment, then we'll come back to you, okay?
Sure.
Number 5, HA-2023-002-133, 4121 West Rod Avenue. Who's representing that matter? West Rod Avenue.
That's
Yeah.
Alex.
Yes, Alexandra Athanasiadis, I'll be handling that matter for the city, and that
Okay.
matter is moot complied, Chairman Woodson.
Luke compliant?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much. Alrighty. Number 10, HA-2023-002058. Who's representing that matter is 1821 Mary Road.
Good afternoon again, Chairman Woodson. Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city on that matter, and that matter is also moot complied.
Luke compliant? Thank you very much. All right, and I believe that represents the outstanding issues for the board. Oh, my apologies, we do have one more. Number 19, HA-2023-002306, 1828 Frankfurt Avenue, DNC Carpentry. Who's representing that matter?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter, REUTER, Senior Attorney for the City of Philadelphia. We were going to raise the same question, I believe.
Corporate representation is the matter that we're interested in.
Yep. The appeal appears to have been filled out by an individual who is associated with the corporation. We have not received any information or other paperwork indicating that an attorney has been retained. And of course, as an incorporated entity, they're required to be represented by counsel at this proceeding.
Okay. Is anyone present representing DNC Carpentry? Anyone present?
So, Your Honor,
Oh.
what this, if I might.
Yeah, my apologies for cutting you off. Please.
No. What the city would request is that it's our position in a case like this. This is, and you can have testimony on this if you want, but this is a corporation that is very familiar with the processes of the city and the nature of these violations. I believe the notice that the board sends out does indicate that corporations are required to be represented by counsel. So both their non-appearance and their failure to obtain counsel, we would consider a waiver, and we would ask that the matter be dismissed for failing to appear.
Okay. What time do we have, Mr.
Service was made.
So, okay, what time do we have, Mr. Pincus?
1:45 p.m.
1:45 p.m. Okay, given that, we will call the vote on HA-2023-002-306, 1828 Frankfurt Avenue, DNC Carpentry. City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Firm for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Okay, thank you. That resolves that matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Athanasiadis, you said you had some additional matters for the board?
Yes, Chairman Woodson. Case number 6, HA-2023-002233, address 4529 to 31 Takawana Street. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Case number 7 on the list, HA-2023-002330, 1976 73rd Avenue. That matter is moot complied. Case number,
My apologies, ma'am. I'm cutting you off. I was sorry, I didn't hear all of what you said the last time.
for case
Just
number
repeat that
7,
last. Yes, please.
Yes, it's moot comply, Chairman.
Number 7. Okay, thank you.
Case number 8, HA-2023-002131, 3845 Red Lion Road. That appeal was withdrawn.
So noted. Withdrawn. Thank you.
And case number 9, HA-2023-002181, 119 West Clarkson Avenue. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied. Thank you very much. Okay,
And those complete my matters for today's list, Chairman Woodson.
thank you very much. Before we begin the hearing, does anyone else have any other matters that we should know about before we begin call the list? If not, Mr. Wade, why don't we start with number 11?
Case number 11, hearing appeal HA 2023 000982, 513 North 63rd Street, BSD Construction LLC. And case number 12, hearing appeal HA 2023 000980, 228 North 63rd Street, BSD Construction LLC.
Mr. Chairman, before this matter proceeds, I note and I see on the screen my colleague David Denenberg, with whom we have over the years referred matters to each other, legal matters. And while I have no specific knowledge of this particular matter, the professional relationship that we have had and still have, I'm going to recuse myself from hearing this matter.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pincus. So of course, you will need to retire to one of the breakout rooms while the matter is being heard. And we will, Mr. Wade will connect with you once we've taken the vote. Okay, Mr. Denenberg,
Yes.
do you have any objection or response to that?
No, I mean, Mr. Pincus could hear the case. He's and find against me. He's done that at arbitration, but it's up to him.
Okay, well, I think he did the appropriate thing in this matter, so we're going to proceed with the remaining board members. Okay, thank you. Who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city.
Okay, I just want to note here, Ms. Skiles, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, I have one witness for both of these matters, Inspector Jose Ramos.
Okay. Just one moment. Mr. Ramos, I need to be sworn. Would you raise your right hand, sir? Do you swear affirm the testimony you will give today will be the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Denenberg, do you have any witnesses for us today?
Final love.
Okay, is that person present? Yes, the person is muted.
I'm here.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Would you mind adjusting your screen a bit so we can see your face?
That better?
Yeah, that's better, except that your head is cut off a bit, but we'll work with it for the moment. Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth? Your hand should be up while you're taking the oath.
I affirm.
All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you very much. Ms. Skiles, please proceed.
Yes, and just before we begin, these are two different appeals for two different violations that were issued to two separate properties. However, they involve the same issues. Would the board like me to present my testimony on both of these matters at once, or do one at a time?
Well, given that there are two different issues, I'd rather you present each one separately because we'll need to vote separately.
Okay.
It says that you don't have to repeat the information. You can stipulate to what's already been put on the record if you need to.
Yes, understood.
Okay.
Okay, so then I will begin with number 11 on the list. Okay, so Inspector Ramos, where are you currently?
I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me. Are we at 513 North 63rd or?
Correct, 513.
Yes? Thank you.
Okay, so Inspector Ramos, where are you currently employed?
License and inspection.
And how long have you been employed with the Department of License and Inspections?
This November will be 9 years.
9 years. And what unit are you currently in with the department?
Audits and investigation.
And what are some of your roles and responsibilities with the Audits and Investigations unit?
We go to job sites upon referrals, make sure the general contractors and subordinate subcontractors have proper documentation, meaning licenses, insurance, things of that nature.
Okay. And through the course of your duties with the Department of License and Inspections, did you become familiar with the property located at 513 North 63rd Street?
Yes.
And how did you become familiar with that property?
There was an investigation done previously that GC building had collapsed on them. So then my superiors went in and checked all the permits that were subsequently pulled by this contractor, and we went out on investigation.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So when you say GC, what do you mean by that?
General contractor.
And so who is the GC that you're referring to?
The gentleman in question, I'm sorry, I don't have my notes in front of me. I'll just.
Would that be BSD Construction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so a property that BSD Construction was working on collapsed.
Objection relevancy.
Yes, it did.
Well, just for a moment. Noting your objection is overruled. Please proceed.
And it was asked and answered already also.
We will proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so after this collapse, your unit conducted an audit on all outstanding or active permits for BSD Construction.
That is correct.
Okay, and so they had an open permit on 513 North 63rd Street.
Correct.
Okay, so what did you do in this audit of this location?
We just went on site and conducted a field inspection, took pictures of the property, dangerous conditions, and asked the gentleman on site if they have any OSHA identification.
Okay, so you personally went to the site at 513 North 63rd Street?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you observe when you got there?
Oh, some gentlemen's on site working. They were upstairs in the second floor, just taking lunch at the time. So I didn't want to bother them too much because I know I wouldn't want to be bothered on my lunch break, but we asked them if they have any OSHA identification, and we just went around the job site taking pictures.
Okay. And now with the board's permission, I will share my screen for the city's exhibits.
Okay.
Now, Inspector Ramos, let me know when you can see my screen.
I see it.
Okay. Do you recognize the document that's marked City Exhibit 1?
Yes.
And what is this document?
It's a notice of a commercial building permit.
Okay. And what is the location of this building permit?
513 North 63rd.
And who is the contractor listed on this building permit?
BSD Construction.
Okay. So after you visited the site and speaking with the individuals there, did you issue a violation to BSD Construction?
Yes.
And what made you issue that violation to BSD Construction?
None of the contractors on site had any OSHA 10 identification, and there was no OSHA 30 representative on site.
Okay. And those are requirements for job sites in the city of Philadelphia.
Objection leading.
I'll rephrase.
Yeah.
Are those requirements for job sites in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay. And so do you recognize the document that is marked as City Exhibit 2?
Yes.
And what is this document?
It's a LVN. It's what's sent out to the contractor once the violations have been written and issued.
Okay. And who was this violation issued to?
BSD Construction, LLC.
Okay. And what are the violations that you wrote in this LVN?
So we just cite each worker there. Obviously, I didn't have any name or first or last name, so we just issue worker 1 through worker 5, and then we constantly, there should be an OSHA 30 representative on site. Anything over capacity as a commercial building permit needs to be there to oversee anybody else working, any subordinates that need to carry an OSHA 10 identification card.
Okay. And you said you issued them to worker 1 through worker 5. Did you ask for identification when you went to the site?
Yes, I asked if they have any OSHA card, any type of ID, and they were reluctant to show.
Okay. So moving on to what is marked City Exhibit 3, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
And what is depicted in this photograph?
It's a building. The roof is completely torn off, and they have some temporary bracing going in between the alley with breezeway there, which is pretty dangerous.
Why is it
beyond the
Wait,
scope
wait,
of the
wait.
objection beyond the scope of the violation?
Okay, so noted, but we wanted you to, we'll overrule it because I want to hear the general sense of what was happening at the site.
So you mentioned, Inspector Ramos, that this was dangerous. Could you explain to the board?
Objection.
And the objection is?
If that's not a leading question, I don't know what a leading question is.
Well, just state, if it's leading, just state that, okay? We don't need the extra terminology. Ms. Skiles, rephrase your question.
Well, Inspector Ramos last testified that what was depicted in this photograph was dangerous, and I was just asking him to elaborate.
Again, can I note my objection for the record? This is about one type of violation.
So noted.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramos.
So the breezeway has some temporary 2x4 bracing going across the breezeway up to against another property. The floor is practically freestanding because all the ply was removed from the roofing there. You can see right through the windows. And we acknowledge to the gentleman, because I want everybody safe, even the workers on site. That is my job, to make sure they're safe. That's why the OSHA clearance are required, that they know the safety protocols. And if any type of bracing like that needs to be done by an engineer, a structural engineer. That was just thrown up there with 2x4s and nailed up. So I recommended to the guys, I said, listen, I know you want to work, do your job. I'm not mad at you. Just be safe, be careful. I don't want nobody getting killed doing a job.
And just for clarification, the building that we're looking at in this picture, this is 513 North 63rd Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And again, this is another photograph of 513 North 63rd Street.
Yes, we try to get more pictures of the temporary bracing they got there with the 2x4s. I think it was like 4 rows or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then once again, this is another photograph of the property in question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how I can. This is sideways right now. But what is depicted in this photograph?
Upon site, we were just there taking pictures and I didn't run into anybody. And then when we were coming down, we seen the gentleman hanging out there. They were all eating lunch in the van.
Okay.
So that's when we came out and just started talking to them, just make sure they're careful about what's going on with the job site today. Or that
Okay.
day.
And so the gentlemen in the van, they confirmed they were working on site.
Objection leading.
Did they confirm that they were working at 513 North 63rd Street?
Yes, they were working there.
Okay. And that is when you requested identification and OSHA cards?
Yes, ma'am.
And no one on the site was able to provide you with any identification or OSHA cards?
No, ma'am.
And no one on the site had an OSHA 30 certification?
No.
Okay. And that is why you issued the LVN in question?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions at this time, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Mr. Denneberg, any cross?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ramos. You hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You were out at the property on what day, sir?
I can't recall this time, whatever date it was stipulated on the violation.
Well, do you have a copy of the violation in front of you?
No, I do not.
Oh, wait a minute. It was Ms. Skiles. Would you mind putting it up again, please?
I will, yes.
There you go. I think, okay.
Do you see your name on this violation?
I don't see anyone's name on this violation right now.
So how would I know as an attorney looking at this document, which council's marked as City 2, that you issued this violation?
I'll object to relevance.
It's the violation that was introduced by the city.
Yes,
Okay,
but
let's do this. You issued an objection. You've requested an objection, so I've noted it and overruled. But what I also would ask Ms. Skiles, if you would reduce the size of it so we can see the full page, that may help.
Let me.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Is that any better?
Yes, a lot better. Thank you. Ms. Jennifer?
Yeah. So do you see your name on this document?
No, I do not.
Now, do you see your cell phone or phone number on this document?
No, I see my audits and investigation unit number there though.
And you issued this citation on what day, sir?
I don't see the date. It says visited 2/16. It says 2 February 6, 2023.
Now, is that the date that you went out to the property?
I can't recall at this time. I don't have my pictures in front of me.
And do you know the day you issued this notice?
No. It says the 7th there. That's auto generated by the computer system.
Who typed this information on the city's computer?
It's typed in when we write the case.
And did you write the case?
It could have been myself, a coworker, or a supervisor.
Was anybody else with you on February 6, 2023?
Yes.
Who else was with you?
Inspector Stewart.
Object to relevance.
So noted, overruled. Please proceed, Mr. Jennifer.
Do you have any notes that you made contemporaneous with this typewritten report?
I have my own notes. Yes.
Are they in front of you today?
No.
Where are they kept?
If I didn't throw them out, they'd be in my desk somewhere. I write them on a notepad as I go.
You indicated that when you first went to the property, you saw individuals eating lunch.
No, we see them afterwards in the van. We visited both sites, but as the chair said, he wants to hear each site individually. That was we went to the first property first, the other one at 228, I believe, or 2 something, North 63rd.
When you went to this property, there was nobody in this property, correct?
They were out front in the van.
There was nobody in this property.
No, thank God, it was too dangerous. I would have kicked them out anyway. No, there was nobody in the property.
And you don't have any pictures to show this panel here today that anybody was working in this property, do you?
I had no pictures on me now.
Your lawyer, you didn't give any pictures to your lawyer showing anybody was working in this property, do you?
I showed pictures that they were taking a lunch break, and the gentleman told me they were working in that property, sir.
So when you say a gentleman, could you tell the panel the gentleman's name?
He didn't give me his name.
So you went up and you asked somebody there, were you working there? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. And you asked him his name.
Yes,
And it's your testimony here today that this gentleman didn't give you his name.
that is correct.
Right. And do you know what company he works for?
He didn't tell me.
Did you take a picture of this individual's face?
I'm not the police. I can't do that. I took a picture of the van. We're standing
Mr.
there.
Ramos, Mr.
Yes.
Ramos, I want to caution you to respond to the question with clear, concise answers. Understand, this is
I
not
took
an
it-
argument.
Not a
Just
problem.
respond.
I took a picture of the gentleman standing by the van he was eating out of.
And you don't have any photographs of that gentleman working in the house.
No,
Okay, so you've never seen anybody working in the house on February 6th, 2023.
no,
So there was a second individual you saw. Do you have a picture of that individual?
the picture that's it's submitted as evidence. That's it.
That picture only shows one individual standing sideways next to a white truck.
There was somebody by the front door, sir, of that van.
Did you ever see that person in the house at 513 North 63rd?
No,
So number one, you never saw working. Number two, you never saw working. Number three, did you ever see working?
no,
And number four, did you ever see working?
no,
Number five, did you ever see working?
No,
Did you ever return to the property the next day to see if anybody was working at 513 North 63rd Street?
not that I can recall.
How did you know where to send the notice dated February 7, 2023?
I don't send the notices, sir.
Did you photograph anybody at the scene other than the one photograph of a gentleman standing next to the truck outside on the pavement?
No,
Did you take a photograph of the license plate of the truck you say that they came from?
no,
Do you know if standing here talking today that any of these individuals worked for BSD Construction LLC?
I know they worked at the property. That's what they told me.
That wasn't my question. You cited, or the city cited, BSD Construction LLC.
Yes,
Right.
you asked me if I know they work for BSD. I'm telling you, they said they worked at the property, so I assumed they worked for BSD because they're working at that property with a permit that's attached to it.
Do you know if they were employees of BSD Construction LLC or subcontractors?
I have no idea.
Did you know if your partner who was with you that day went and asked any of the 5 individuals there whether they were working for BSD Construction LLC?
He asked who they work for.
And none of the 5 people that you say that you talked to would show you identification.
That's correct.
And you don't know who they work for.
I assume BSD. I don't think they're working there for free, sir.
Well, they could have been working for a subcontractor, correct?
That is absolutely true, but then BSD has to provide a subcontractor list.
And do you know if PSD ever provided a subcontractor list?
I do not believe so.
You didn't check City Hall to see if all the people were licensed contractors working for BSDWA?
I don't have to check City Hall, sir. They're supposed to submit it to the department and then we check our records.
Is it your testimony here today they never submitted a list?
It's my testimony that I didn't see a list prior to this investigation.
And what did you check?
Their Eclipse system. Or we can go reference the permit. It's all there. They can upload it themselves, sir.
How many individuals were listed under the Eclipse system for the contract?
I can't recall at this time. I'm sorry.
When was the date that you looked on the Eclipse system to see the names of the individuals?
Normally I check the date that I go out.
And did you check the date on 2/6?
I'm positively 100% sure.
Well, then how would you know that the 5 people that were at the property weren't on the Eclipse system?
I checked the system. There was nothing submitted.
So there were no names submitted by BSDWA.
Not that I can recall.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, thank you very much. Any redirect, Ms. Scales?
Can I say something or no?
Not yet, sir. No, you represented by counsel. And when Mr. Denenberg is prepared to put on his case, then you will be brought in. Okay? All righty, Ms. Scales, any redirect?
Just brief redirect. Okay, Inspector Ramos, I just want to clear up a few points. You said that you assumed that they worked for BSD Construction.
Correct.
And that is because the contractor listed.
Objection leading.
I'm sorry. On direct, did you testify that you assumed they worked for the workers that you observed worked for BSD Construction?
Correct.
And why did you make that assumption?
Because BSD is the permit holder. So anybody working at the property is ultimately their employees.
Okay. And as the primary contractor, does BSD Construction remain responsible for what goes on at the job site?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did ask for all of the names of everyone on site?
Yes.
Did anyone tell you their name?
No.
And did you ask everyone on site to provide OSHA cards?
Yes.
And did anyone provide OSHA cards?
No,
Did anyone you talked to provide you with an OSHA supervisor card?
no,
And anytime after the issuance of your violation, did anyone from BSD Construction reach out to you with any OSHA cards or any clarification?
nobody reached out to me or anybody in my staff that I know of.
After you issued the violation, did anyone from BSD Construction reach out to you explaining that it wasn't BSD workers on site, that it was a subcontractor?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. And as you testified briefly on cross, the contact information for your unit is on this licensing violation.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a phone number there?
Yes, ma'am.
And this phone number, if you call this phone number, who will pick up?
One of our secretaries.
Okay. And this email, is there an email stated on this form?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it constantly monitored?
Superiors monitor that, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So there were methods for BSD Construction to reach out to your department,
Absolutely.
even though you weren't specifically listed on the violation.
Yes, ma'am.
And as of today, you are not aware of any clarification from BSD Construction.
No, ma'am.
And as of today, have any OSHA cards been provided for the workers that you observed on the site when you wrote the violation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I have no further questions for redirect, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Denenberg.
Thank you. So you only took a photograph of one
Oh, wait,
individual.
Mr. Denenberg, I thought you were putting on your case now, or you wanted to have a follow-up. I'm not sure
I
what.
just have a follow-up question.
Okay,
When you go out to the property, Mr. Ramos, wouldn't you believe it would be important to take pictures of each individual that you have cited that were allegedly out working for BSD Construction LLC?
Well,
I'm going to object. This is outside the scope of redirect.
I think Mr. Denenberg,
Well, she brought up the OSHA card, so I
yes,
don't know.
but the issue is though, whether or not it's within the department's normal process to take actual photos of each individual worker.
I'll ask him that question.
Yeah,
Is it within the scope of your job to take photographs of each individual that you have alleged were out at the scene working on this job site?
But our normal practice is to take pictures from far away. I do not run up on anyone and take a close-up picture of their face. That leads to confrontations. I'm out there, me alone, without a gun, without a vest. I'm not the police. I'm a building inspector to enforce safety protocols.
okay. I
But
think
you
that,
cite, isn't it true, sir? You cited 5 people who my client can't look at to say that they were employed with their company as you sit here today.
Yes.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
I just have one brief question based on
Okay.
that recross.
yes, just
Yes.
one, and then we'll move on.
Yes. So Inspector Ramos, did you see 5 people on the site at 513 North 63rd Street the day of your site visit?
Yes, I did.
And that's all. I'll leave it.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Denenberg, you prepared to put your case on?
Thank you. Mr. Love, you've been sworn in.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. What is your position with BSD Construction LLC?
I'm the owner of the company.
How long is BSD Construction LLC been in business?
Maybe around 4 or 5 years.
And are you familiar with the permitting process through the city of Philadelphia?
Absolutely.
How many permits have you pulled before February of 2023 through the city of Philadelphia?
Maybe 20 or 30. Maybe 20 or 30.
How many rehabs have you done before 513 North 63rd Street in Philadelphia?
Maybe 50.
50?
Yeah,
So you go around and you fix up old houses,
correct.
your business. Are you familiar with 513 North 63rd Street?
Absolutely.
And did you have a permit that you obtained through the city of Philadelphia, permit number CP 2022-6584?
Yes,
And did you obtain that permit in December of 2022?
correct.
How far do you live away from 513 North 63rd Street?
Say maybe a mile and a half.
And did you visit the job site each day when the work began at 513 North 63rd Street?
Yes.
And
When it was active, every day when it's active.
now, your permit, you heard Mr. Ramos indicate that you would have to upload the names of individuals who will be working for BSD Construction LLC or its subcontractors before the work began on the Eclipse system.
Yes,
Did you do that?
absolutely. And I may even have a photo when I upload it. I have a photo and I take a photo of the Eclipse system that I've uploaded the sub. So I might even have a picture of that.
How many contractors does BSD Construction LLC have back in January and February of 2022?
I think
2023, I'm sorry.
5 or 6.
And you saw a picture of one individual standing sideways on the pavement that the city had shown. Can you tell who that is?
I cannot tell who that is, but on that day, I can't tell who that is. It's from the back. I can't tell which guy it is.
Did you see only this one picture that the city uploaded through its case in chief?
That's the only picture I saw.
Did the people that work for BSD Construction LLC have OSHA required cards?
Absolutely.
Were all the people that you put up on the Eclipse system, did they have their cards through OSHA, their ID cards?
They can't get a license without OSHA. So yes.
Who lives at SWT 1202 in Muncie, New York?
That's like a mailing address for the company.
Okay. When you received the notice sometime in February of 2023, what did you do on behalf of this violation?
Made an appeal. Made an appeal.
And why did you appeal this matter?
Because I felt that it was false. I don't have unlicensed people working for me.
Have you ever had any unlicensed people working for you?
I use licensed contractors. I pay more money and I use licensed contractors.
And the licensed contractors that you have are uploaded on the Eclipse system?
Correct.
And there was a permit pulled to do the construction work at 513 North 63rd Street?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have from this witness.
Thank you very much. Ms. Skiles, any cross-examination?
Just briefly.
Okay, thank you.
So when you got the notice of violation, you did not reach out to the Department of License and Inspections at all?
I did not. No, I reached out to my lawyer.
Okay. Okay. No, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Denenberg, any additional witnesses?
None.
Okay. Ms. Skiles, any additional witnesses?
No, no additional witnesses, just argument.
Okay. What I'd like then is for closing argument, then we will take a short recess before we vote. Mr. Denenberg, and then we'll be followed by Ms. Skiles.
Sure. In all of these civil cases, it is the city's burden to prove its case in chief by a preponderance of the evidence. The city hasn't produced any pictures of any work being conducted on February 6, 2023 at 513 North 63rd Street. You heard from Mr. Love that he is a licensed contractor who's done 50 rehabs in Philadelphia, who's who goes through the Eclipse system to obtain its permits, had a permit pulled on this matter. Again, if you are the city, you should take photographs of the individuals. You heard from Mr. Ramos that he was scared to approach the 5 individuals allegedly working on February 6, 2023. But he was able to speak to them about getting OSHA cards. So you can weigh that testimony. My client has always pulled permits, has always had licensed individuals, and there's no proof that these individuals were working for BSD Construction LLC at this location on this day. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Giles?
Yes, we are seeking a city affirm for the violations that were issued today, for the lack, for the 5 workers who are on site without their OSHA 10 certifications, and for the lack of an OSHA certified supervisor on site. This violation was issued to BSD Construction, and it was issued rightfully so, as they were the primary contractor. They had the primary contractor on the permit for the work that was done at 513 North 63rd Street. If the workers on site were uncooperative, if they would not give their names or who they were working for, that still ultimately falls to the responsibility of BSD Construction, as they're the primary contractor. They remain responsible for everything that happens on site. So they are responsible for the workers on site. And we may not have photographs of the 5 faces that were on site, but you heard the testimony from Inspector Ramos, who was present. He went to the site and he spoke with and saw 5 individuals on site. None of them provided identification. None of them provided OSHA 10 certifications, and no one on site was OSHA 30 certified. As you heard, this audit began due to a collapse that BSD Construction was working on. So these are very serious offenses. And as you heard Inspector Ramos testify, there were dangerous conditions on site. And the whole reason these OSHA certifications are required are because of safety. So I believe the city has definitely met its case today through the testimony of Inspector Ramos and through the photographs. BSD was the primary contractor. They remain responsible and for what happens on site. And what we know is that there were 5 individuals on site, working on site, who were not able to produce any OSHA certifications. So we are asking for a city affirm of the violations today.
Ms. Giles, just one clarification, either you or Mr. Denenberg can respond. The collapse that triggered all of this, was that at that location or a different location?
It was a different location, which triggered an audit of all of the active contract, all of the active permits.
And if I may say, there's been no finding that my client did anything wrong on that collapse.
Okay, thank you.
And there was a full investigation with a full hearing, hours of hearings.
Thank you. Okay, I'd invite my colleagues to join me in the breakout room for a moment so we might deliberate before we vote. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're back on the record. Regarding 513 North 63rd Street, HA-2023-000482. Just want to make sure, I want to confirm the exact number here. It's 518 North 63rd Street. My apologies. I need to correct the last digits on that. Case number is 000982. My apologies. We will call the vote on 518 North 63rd Street.
I apologize, Chairman. Yeah. The address is 513.
513, so it's listed incorrectly on the sheet today.
Yes, it's 513.
513. Mr. Dennenberg, you concur that we've called the wrong address, but we're in the right case.
Yes, I'm well
Okay.
aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's regard then to HA-2023-000982, 513 North 63rd Street, City of Firm.
City Firm.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirm.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous, City affirmed. Thank you very much. Okay, let us call the next matter. Mr. Wade.
This is case 12, hearing appeal HA 2023-000980, 228 North 63rd Street, BSD Construction.
Okay, thank you. Before we get started though, Mr. Dennenberg, I'd ask your client, Mr. Love, to remove his hat for the hearing. We'd ask everyone to participate to do that. Thank you. I neglected in the earlier case. Okay, Ms. Skiles, I assume you represent the city?
Yes, once again, Amy Skiles for the city, and Inspector Ramos will be my witness for this matter as well.
Okay, let's proceed.
Okay, before I begin, I would just like to incorporate from the previous hearing, Inspector Ramos's testimony about his employment with the Department of L&I and his work with the Audits and Investigations Unit.
So noted.
Okay, Inspector Ramos. So during the course of your duties with the Department of License and Inspections, did you become aware of 228 North 63rd Street?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you become aware of this address?
We came aware of the address because the contractor had a previous collapse at another property.
And so did your unit conduct an audit of the permit at 228 North 63rd Street as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you personally visit this site?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you observe when you visited 228 North 63rd Street?
Upon site, we took pictures of the exterior, then made our way inside and made our way to the second floor where we found some gentlemen having lunch.
Okay, and did any of these gentlemen that you encountered in this job site produce any OSHA cards to you?
No, ma'am.
Oh, and so based on your interaction with the gentleman you found on site, did you issue a license violation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I will now share my screen. Oh. Sorry. Just, let me see. And let me know when you can see the document that's displayed on my screen.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. And what is the document marked City Exhibit 1?
The notice of commercial permit.
Okay. And what address is the location of work for this commercial permit?
228 North 63rd.
And who is the contractor listed on this permit?
BSD Construction, LLC.
Okay. And what, do you recognize the document marked City Exhibit 2?
Yes, ma'am. It's a license violation notice.
Okay. And what was the date of this notice?
Date of notice is 2/7/23.
Okay. And what were the violations that were cited in this notice?
Workers on site without OSHA 10 card and no OSHA 30 holder on site.
Okay. Moving on to City Exhibit 3, do you recognize the photograph in City Exhibit 3?
Yes, ma'am. It's the interior of the property.
Okay. And what can you see in this photograph?
Obviously, they've done a lot of demolition. They got some studs they wear for continuous framing, and that's about it in that picture.
Okay. And what's depicted in this photograph?
That's the exterior, the front of the building.
And this is the exterior, just to be clear, of 228 North 63rd Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is depicted in this photograph?
We were just looking at the load variation going up the stairway. It was just some deficiency that me and my
Objection.
saw.
This goes beyond the scope of the violation. This is only about citing that there were no people on the site.
I'll move on. Okay.
Thank you.
So then moving on to this final photograph I have here. What is this a photograph of?
The contractors on site having lunch.
Okay, and they were, you did witness these gentlemen inside the job site having lunch?
Yes, that's the second story. That's the second floor.
The second floor, okay. And did you ask for identification?
Yes, I asked who they work for and any OSHA ID on them.
And did anyone provide you with any identification?
No, ma'am.
Was anyone on site able to provide you with any OSHA certification?
No.
Was anyone on site able to provide you with an OSHA 30 certification that's required of a supervisor?
Can I make an objection?
My apologies, I was muted. What is the objection, Mr. Dinenberg?
So you don't need an OSHA 30 card if the property is only 2 stories high, and council knows this.
Okay, Mr. Dinenberg, you were able to refute that through cross and or when you put on your case. Please, let's proceed.
So Inspector Ramos, was an OSHA 30 supervisor required for this job site?
Yes, they're building 3 stories, as you can see. I'm on the second, and they obviously claimed up to the third already.
Okay. And how do you know that they were building 3 stories?
You can visually see it. Those are the top there are cross beams, rafters for joists for another story they were adding. If you look at the permits on there, description of work.
Okay. And so, as you were saying before, was anyone on site able to provide you with an OSHA 30 certification?
No, ma'am.
Asked and answered.
I just wanted to, I know there was an objection at the end. I just wanted to get that clearly on the record. Okay. So based on what you observed at this location, 228 North 63rd Street, you issued the license violation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did anyone contact the department after you issued this notice?
Not to my knowledge.
Not true. Okay. I have no further questions at this time for Inspector Ramos, and I'll stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dinenberg. Any cross?
Sure. Sir, you cited that there were 4 workers that had no OSHA cards.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You have a picture of the 4th person who you say was on the site.
No.
And did you ever go up to the 4th person?
Yes.
Could you describe him to the panel?
Tall, thin guy.
White or black?
Latino.
And how about the other 3 people that were in the back? Did you go up and approach them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I spoke to them in Spanish too, just to let you know.
And did they respond in Spanish?
Yes.
Did you check the Eclipse system to see that the contractor who was doing work on this house had been registered with the city?
No, did I check? No.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any redirect on this matter?
No, no redirect for Inspector Ramos.
Do you have any additional witnesses?
No additional witnesses. I would just ask to move the city exhibits into the record.
So noted, so moved. Mr. Dinenberg, any your opportunity, sir, to present your case.
Mr. Love, you have been sworn in. Are you familiar with 228 North 63rd Street?
Yes.
Okay, and again, you are the president of the company, BSD Construction LLC?
Correct.
And again, you live less than a mile from the property?
About roughly 1.5 miles.
And you use all licensed contractors, correct?
Correct.
Are you familiar with the Eclipse system?
Absolutely.
And did you have all of the contractors and subcontractors listed on the Eclipse system for this job site.
Yes,
And you heard from Mr. Ramos that he never looked at the job site to see who was listed.
correct.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Any cross, Ms. Skiles?
No cross.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, we will take a short recess and before we vote. Thank you.
You want a closing or no?
My apologies, Mr. Dinenberg, you're absolutely right. We would like to hear closing arguments from yourself, then Ms. Skiles. Then we will take a short.
Again, it's the city's burden to show that these were contractors that were not listed on the Eclipse system. You heard testimony from Mr. Love that all of his contractors are licensed, that they all were listed on the Eclipse system, and that Mr. Ramos never went to look at the Eclipse system after he went out and took a look at the property. These contractors are employed with a subcontractor and they are listed on the Eclipse system. That's all that we can do to comply with what the city says is the law.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ms. Skiles?
Yes. Once again, BSD Construction is the primary contractor for this location at 228 North 63rd Street. When Inspector Ramos visited the site, he saw workers on site inside the work site in this case. He asked for identification, he asked for OSHA cards, and no one would give him any identification, and no one was able to produce an OSHA card. It remains the primary contractor was issued the violation here because ultimately they are responsible for this job site. The BSD Construction never reached out to the city. They never said, it was a subcontractor, go talk to them. So they remain responsible for everything that happens on the job site. We are asking for a city affirm as these violations were issued correctly to the primary contractor of the job site. And based on Inspector Ramos's testimony and the pictures that have been presented, it is clear that there were individuals working on site here without OSHA certification. So we'd be asking for a city affirm for the violations that were issued to BSD Construction for this job site.
Thank you very much. Okay, my colleagues to join me in the breakout room for a moment. Thank you very much. I believe we're now back on the record. Having heard all the evidence and the testimony regarding HA-2023-000980 228 North 63rd Street, BSD Construction, we will now hold the vote. City affirm.
City affirm.
City affirm.
City affirmed.
City affirm.
Thank you very much. The vote is city affirm, unanimous vote. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your participation and your patience. Of course, Mr. Dinenberg, you have the right, of course, to appeal the decision of the board, should you choose to. Thank you. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Skiles, you may Mr. Ramos may be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Wade, what do we have next?
Case number three. Case number three, hearing appeal HA 2022-004321, 10th and Cortlandt Street, Clenzel Gaskins.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Keller on behalf of the city.
Kelly, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Mr. Gaskins, Clenzel Gaskins, are you present? Anyone present representing the interests of 10th Street and Cortlandt Street? Clenzel Gaskins. Anyone present representing the interests, having the interest in this matter? Well, no one's responding, Mr. Kelly. Service was made. Mr. Kelly, what is your preference?
Thank you. As a result, the city would ask for a city affirm for failure to appear.
Okay. Mr. Pincus,
Let me I apologize, I didn't bring it back in.
yeah, my apologies as well. I should have waited earlier. So we can go back on. Mr. Pincus, if you're with us, please unmute yourself so that
I'm here.
okay. We have called to the last matter today, number 3, HA 2022-004321, 10th and Portland Street, Glenzel Gaskins, and no response. And so at this point, the preference of the law department is that we vote for lack of appearance. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
2:54 p.m.
2:54 p.m. We will now call the board on HA 2022-004321, 10th and Cortlandt Street, Glenzel Gaskins. City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Firm for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Thank you very much. Does that conclude our calendar for today, Mr. Wade?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Now, there's a Miss Aisha. Ma'am, are you waiting for a case that we didn't call? You're muted. If you're going to mute yourself.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Yes, my case number is HA 2023-002181.
What's the address?
119 West Clarkson Avenue, 19120.
Yeah, we noted earlier in the day that it was MOO complied.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, did you hear my instructions when we came on?
I believe so. You said, but I thought I would have a opportunity to speak. I didn't want to hang up and
if it's MOO compliant, there's no additional action taken on that case during the hearing. So if you need additional explanation, just call the office and they can explain the MOO compliant to you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
You too, bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. If you're going to the game, go Eagles.
If we're off the record, can I ask what happened to